What's good, my people? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Chronic OGs podcast. I'm that boy they call Big Tone, one half of the Chronic OGs. Shout out to my little brother Smitty. Woo, that was a lot. If you can, and if you haven't, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Help us grow the channel. Help us grow the program. We enjoy what we're doing. Hopefully we're getting better every time, and and hopefully we can keep bringing y'all some good content. So I want to get right into it. We'll talk about a little bit of election stuff. Economy update. This was as of October the 9th, so a couple weeks ago. No one is talking about a recession anymore. Wages are up, job creation is up, unemployment is low, the pandemic era inflation is way down. Stock prices were at an all-time high as of October 9th. And just like President Uncle Joe said, we was going to have a soft landing without triggering a recession or inflation. So, for some reason, everyone want to say the Harris economy, the Harris economy, the Harris economy. So, gas prices are down. They have plans to go after food companies who still have their prices jacked up when it don't need to be, to help people with groceries. They have a plan to make home ownership more affordable and to build at least 3 million new homes. They have a plan for if you have your first child, you're going to get a tax credit. Black entrepreneurs, you're going to get a tax credit. 25, I can't even remember the other 2-3 tax credits. Decreasing the tax rate for over 110 million Americans, middle class and below Americans. Not for the rich, for the people that need those breaks. So there's an economic plan. There's a foreign policy plan. There's a border plan. Like I said before, the border bill was axed by Donald Trump to everything they ask him for now, and they want to blame it on the Harris administration. Uncle Joe was going to sign the bill. It was done by that conservative, extremely conservative senator out of Oklahoma. His name on the tip of my tongue. James Lankford had bipartisan support, and it was asked by the Speaker of the House, Johnson, who's a straight ass clown, because Donald Trump wanted to run on that. They know if that bill was signed, they couldn't talk this immigration shit anymore. But yet they still could throw that at her feet. The only duty the vice president has, is that they're the president of the Senate. That's it. So to say everything is because of the Biden-Harris administration, you notice before she got involved in running for president, before she took the place of President Uncle Joe, it was just the Biden administration. I don't remember people saying the Trump-Pence administration when they was talking about policy or anything like that. I don't remember the Clinton-Gore administration when they was talking about policy or anything like that. Bush-Cheney administration. No, it didn't go down like that. But now, it goes down like that. And this is crazy because it's another example of and I'm going to get into this in a couple of minutes, but it's another example of how these two are treated differently. Like, she says everything and people still ask for more. He says nothing and no one checks him on it. Can you imagine if Kamala Harris said half the stuff that Donald Trump said? Now he's talking about Arnold Palmer's penis just because he was doing a rally in his own town. Why are you talking about, excuse my language, but why are you talking about a dead man's dick? That's not impressive. That's not about policy. You're not offering anything. But when Vice President Harris offers stuff, they say they don't know. They need to know more about her. How many fucking times does she has to tell the story about where she grew up at and working at McDonald's and going to law school and being a prosecutor, and the only client she ever had is the people? That shit is getting old to hear, but people still requesting it. So this black woman is being treated differently than this white man. Just call it the way it is. I got 3 daughters. I know good goddamn well I'd be pissed. And you got to think about it. She's the most qualified candidate ever. But yet still there's people that tells me both people are bad and the worse are the lesser of two evils. Okay. All right. So what I want to kind of go over is some of the points in Bob Woodward's book called War, right? And I'm sure everybody heard of it. I'm a little late. But one of the things Bob Woodward talking about in some of his interviews were that, which we all know, was that when has he taken any responsibility for anything that has happened negatively? I've seen President Uncle Joe take the heat for shit. B.O. took the heat for shit. George Bush took the heat for shit and accepted it. But Mr. Trump can't. So some of this shit sounds treasonous to me, but Trump gave COVID tests and COVID testing materials and machines and stuff like that to Vladimir Putin. In the meantime, in between time, over 1 million Americans were dying of COVID. The Kremlin has confirmed this. So Trump tried to deny it. The Kremlin, the Russian government, confirmed this. You didn't send any to Great Britain, Italy, Canada, France, allies, which still would have been wrong. You sent it to one of our top 3 adversaries because you got a bromance with their president because you want this country to be communist. You want this to be a dictatorship. You admire the fact that Vladimir Putin can just steal elections. You admire the fact that Kim Jong-un got people bowing at his feet and will do anything he says without any question, without any check of power or anything. You admire that shit. Donald Trump's admires that shit. So in the past 3.5 years, he's talked to Vladimir Putin 7 times, at least 7 times. Y'all think about this. You think it's possible for him to have talked to him while he was playing around with them classified documents that he had stashed over at his shitter and all that other stuff? You think that? Because it's possible. 7 times. Back channel. And every time he went to go talk to Vladimir Putin, he would tell his aide to leave the room. fuck are they talking about? That it's got to be a secret. You're not the president no more. You're not on some humanitarian shit. You're not. You always say, he always says he can, if he was president, he would have got those hostages home easily. Well, you should have did that anyway. If you are about country first, which everyone knows that you're not. So the nation's top military member, General Milley, who's a dog, and I'm saying that in a good way, referred to Donald Trump. He was his I mess it up every time. Joint Chiefs of Staff referred to him as being fascist to the core. The most dangerous person for U.S. and their allies. That's what General Milley said. If you don't want to believe General Milley, you got General Mattis, you got General McManus, you got General Kelly, all used to work for him. All has denounced him and said he was unfit to be president of the United States of America. Other examples of his treasonous activity in the past is, he believed Vladimir Putin over his own national security team, to include Dan Coats. He called Putin brilliant for invading Ukraine. Praises other dictators like Putin, like I said, Kim Jong-un, Viktor Orban. Passed classified information to the Russians that came from the Israelis while he had the Russians in the Oval Office, the Russian diplomatic team. Which is fucking crazy to me how he didn't get in trouble for that. His first overall meeting was with the Russians, shaking hands and smiling and shit. All the anti-legal immigrant rhetoric. This, unless you are Native American, 100% Native American, you are a descendant of immigrants. This country was built on the backs of immigrants. This country was built on the backs of slaves who were immigrants. This country was built on the backs of people of color, just as people of color who were immigrants. This country was built on the backs of white people. Some of them, immigrants. But I notice how all the immigrants that get called out by J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are a little darker than them. Not because of a tan. The dude is doing a rally in Detroit, and everything he's about is fear-mongering. So he tells the people in Detroit that if they don't vote for him, the country going to be messed up, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be just like Detroit, he said. And he said that in Detroit. Here's the thing. He lied about the FEMA relief. Said the money, that they didn't have any money. They do. They did. The money went to legal immigrants. Only people that's getting service and help down there are people in Democratic districts. On and on and on and on and on. None of that shit was true. So you're going to lie to these people at their most vulnerable time. That's despicable. That's despicable. And here's the thing. Donald Trump can say what he wants, when he wants, and where he wants to say it. Because for some reason, the GOP leadership, congressional leadership, and others will not call him out. They can say, well, I don't think the president should have said that, but I still support, the ex-president should have said that, but I still support his policies. They don't do that. They don't do that. So some information for you. Illegal border crossings are lower now than they were on Trump's last day of office. Think about that. So something to think about. He stated he wanted to deploy the military on his political adversaries, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi. So, we got to understand something. So there's a new report out, and I remember seeing this young lady's name. Her name is Specialist Guillaume. She was the young lady that was murdered on Fort Bragg. I think it was Fort Bragg. Well, reports came out today that Trump was pissed off at the cost of her funeral, saying no way a funeral should be $60,000 for a fucking Mexican. Go look it up online. Google works. So when you have if you serve the military, like I did, he could have been talking about one of us. It could have been $60,000 for a fucking nigga. Really? The enemy within he talks about. He made it perfectly clear who he was talking about. And Speaker Johnson and Governor Youngkin from Virginia tried their best to defend that shit and lie for him. And Jake Tapper was in that ass. Didn't let it happen. Kamala Harris did Fox News the other day. Donald Trump, you gonna do CNN, MSNBC? Nah, doubt it. So the other day, Trump was at a function where in Arnold Palmer's hometown, supposed to be a presidential campaign rally, and instead he's talking about Arnold Palmer, who died in 2016. Instead, he's talking about when Arnold Palmer was in the shower, he looked at his junk and thought his junk was really big. I'm just telling you what he thought. But he didn't say it like that. He said it actually a little worse. Do I need to go over the legal stuff? He's a 34-time convicted felon. I bring that up because I want to say this. Everything I just mentioned is an example of how they are treated so differently. Everything I mentioned is how they are treated so differently. The dude got rid of Roe versus Wade, and then turned around and said, yeah, I got rid of Roe versus Wade, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And then turned around and said again, he gonna be the biggest advocate for women. But you got rid of one of the biggest protections for women. I got 3 daughters, married, aunties, uncles, little nieces and nephews. Take the nephews away, sorry. Nieces. But y'all may say, oh, my sister will never do something like that. My cousin will never do something like that. She's a virgin. Blah, 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 blah. What if she gets raped? They want a nationwide abortion ban. Gotta go hashtag Project 2025. So for you young folks out there that think shit ain't gonna change and all this other stuff, shit ain't gonna change, it ain't gonna be no different, politics, blah, 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 all this and that, as to reasons why you guys won't vote, go look at Project 2025. I have an upcoming episode that I'm going to break it down in probably about 20 minutes, some of the most important points of Project 2025 for you to educate yourself on exactly what's going on and what they want to do to this country. Y'all have to leave the legacy. Generation whatever. These 18 to 30-year-olds, you're up. Us 50 and over, we're on this side of it. Hopefully it's more like that, but we're on this side of it. Y'all are like this. And if you haven't learned from our teachings about educating yourself versus listening to people, don't just listen to me. Verify the shit I said. You can pick up, you got a worldwide computer in your hand. If I say Trump said something about Arnold Palmer's jump, and there's people that's telling you that ain't true, that was a lie, you can Google it. You can YouTube it. The two candidates aren't the same. And this ain't the time for you to be sitting out. This is the wrong time, but you're at the right place. 2 weeks before the election, get up off your asses. Do your research, register to vote, and vote for Kamala Harris, President 2024. I'm that boy they call Big Tone, one half of the Chronic OGs podcast. Again, if you can hit that like and subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it.